Wow, that is bright. Back it up
a little bit, just this way.
Okay.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yep.
There we go.
All right.
I'm here at Mobile World Congress with Jeff Wang, Senior Partner at IBB Consulting. Jeff, you're based in the Bay Area, but we've been here all week in Barcelona. I know you focus a lot of your attention to carriers and devices, so let's take carriers first, and if you could just sort of run us through the trends that you've taken out of Mobile World Congress this year.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. So I think probably three main trends for carrier business right now that we're seeing at Mobile World Congress. Trend one is really related to kind of spectrum and how are carriers looking at licensed versus unlicensed spectrum. How are they looking at a scenario where cellular and Wi-Fi are playing together more and more, and how important is Wi-Fi to that future business? I think the second key trend that we're seeing around carriers is really looking at non-traditional revenue and using this show to really grow non-traditional revenue with partnerships. When you look at M2M connections, when you look at connected home, connected car space, and you look at IoT as it grows, what are different ways that the carriers can actually use this show to get beyond the connectivity layer, to get materially up the stack so that they're just not a connection base. I think the third key trend we see around carriers at the show is really around their next big platform. When you really talk about carriers and where they're actually looking to invest, it usually goes into the network. There's a lot of discussion around 5G. What does 5G look like? What are the opportunities around 5G when you have lower latency, higher capacity, higher speeds? How do they actually take advantage of that in tomorrow's world?
Yeah, you know, you mentioned this sort of confluence of Wi-Fi and LTE with the aggregation. I spent some time with Alcatel-Lucent earlier, and they didn't come right out and say it, but it seemed like their new carrier aggregation feature that allows you to combine the Wi-Fi and the LTE, particularly in a dense urban type network situation, looks like it might be a key part of how we get from 4G to 5G.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a 5G world, we don't know. There might be a lot of more unlicensed spectrum than we think is involved in there, and those are the standards that are being defined today, with the key of it being kind of openness and availability and access no matter where you are. So as those standards start to continue to evolve, we might see a lot more unlicensed spectrum, like you said.
Yeah, and on the device end, you and I were discussing it earlier, there seems to be a sort of a really diversity in some of the product offerings, really high-end stuff and then really mid and low-end stuff. What have you noticed this week in that regard?
Yeah, I think MWC continues to be a springboard for device manufacturers. A lot of clients that we work with are looking to kind of diversify and bifurcate their portfolios. So you'll still see that there's the high-end announcements that are at MWC, like a Samsung with an S6 or an S6 Edge, with an HTC with a One M9, where you're still seeing a lot of high-end focus, high-end features, high-end processors, high-end screen and camera resolution, but you're starting to see a lot of other pretty big name manufacturers look and focus on mid-tier to low-tier. If you look at kind of the Sonys of the world launching the M4 Aqua, if you look at the Microsofts launching the Lumia 640, a lot of these are kind of the mid-tier. Even LG got into the game with kind of a mid to entry level product that they're seeing as this show becomes more of an ecosystem play, connecting the next 2 billion to the internet goes through mobile, and they can't afford an unsubsidized $600 to $800 device. They need to look at more of the mid-tier, low-tier with very high quality features that can actually get to that market.
Yeah, and you know, on that Samsung Galaxy S6, the camera's great, the design's fantastic. I guess I was really impressed with the wireless supercharging, but are all those features together enough to, you know, really make that the next big phone?
I think when you look at the experience, what are the things that a device is limited by? And we carry these devices with us all day. So the things that limit us are battery life. It limits us with local storage, how much can we put on it, and it limits us with processing power. And as you address each of those things, the device that can actually hit those three categories allow users to enjoy the experience more, use the device longer, and actually continue to work with it. So when you look at kind of battery life, that's the biggest thing right now that the industry struggles with. Hardware in terms of actually battery innovation is really difficult, but when you look at software optimization, there's a really, really big optimization point there. And fast charging is one of those that we've been working on with the industry for over 3 years now, around if I can't make the capacity bigger, the phone footprint is larger, put the bigger battery in it, and I can't change that, at this point, I can at least charge it faster. So the 10-minute fast charge to get 4 hours of usage is a really good solution around that.
Now, and on the device note, can we talk a little bit about smartwatches? This is looking ahead a little bit to the Apple iWatch, of course. You know where I'm going with this. But I mean, is that going to be enough to blow open the smartwatch market, or what are you thinking about that?
Great question. At IBB Consulting, we work a lot with clients around what's the next form factor. We call it the generational leap that's actually going to succeed smartphones and drive revenue for the industry. And a lot of times when you think about, is it the wristwatch that's going to win, we really talk about it as, is it going to be a standalone device? Right now, if you actually have the wristwatches on the market today, many of them actually still depend on the smartphone. They don't necessarily take an experience and a sensory experience to be able to take that beyond and actually move it standalone. For example, we talk with a lot of our clients around, think about the use cases that you want to focus on that don't require carrying two devices, where it is a standalone device, but you may not need all the bells and whistles on a smartwatch. So IBB talks to clients about things like, video is probably not a good experience to put on a watch form factor. You're going from a beautiful 5-inch experience with the highest resolution down to a 1-inch experience on your wrist without good speakers. Avoid that, right? And we tell a lot of our clients, think about the experiences that you can take advantage of and bundle those together. So thinking about a sports watch that has all my heart sensors, where I don't have to wear a Polar, plus all my step counters, where I don't have to wear a Fitbit, and all of my music, where I don't have to carry a smartphone to play and motivate myself. When you combine those features into a standalone device, you don't need to go to the gym, go for a run, and carry a smartphone along with your watch. And when it becomes standalone to that point, and it's very specifically targeted, you can really get to kind of capturing the customer's experience that they really enjoy, and that will help the market take off.
Very good. Well, Jeff, I really appreciate you taking a minute to speak with us, and we'll be sure to look for your work coming out of IBB Consulting.
Great. Thanks so much for the time, Sean.
Thank you. So, yeah, I have a Gear S that I wear around our office, and I mean, why the hell does it not have voice to text on it? I mean,
basic thing, and that's the communication experience, right? Like, why do you have to actually have? You don't want to count your steps by carrying your damn smartphone plus your watch, and you put it down. You're like, wait, why isn't this moving? Oh, my phone isn't moving. Those are just basic experiences that, it takes time. So,
oh yeah.